Hi, I'm Cindy Morales. Welcome back to the Shout My Story podcast, where we share stories of women who choose life in difficult circumstances and the people who help them. If you like our content, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Now, let's get to our guest. So we filmed a lot of stories, which are all on our YouTube channel. And when we were doing that, we met a lot of women who were pressured to abort their children because their child had a life-limiting condition. And so we met so many women like this that we made a mini documentary called Incompatible With Life. And that's also on our YouTube channel. And that is where we met Nancy Binger, our current guest today, and her amazing son, Cody. So welcome to the Shout My Story podcast, Nancy.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So we want to just get an update of everything's going on in your life.
Yeah, I love that video you did. I have it pinned to Cody's Facebook page, Growing with Cody. It's up there at the top. And every now and then people catch a glimpse of it and they are like, oh, I saw your story and I love it. So it's a couple years old, but it still explains everything that we went through, getting Cody's diagnosis, and then just how quickly we were pleasantly surprised on just how amazing it is to have him as a child, and that raising him is different, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
I want to get a total update because Cody was, 4 years old when we
so.
met. Now he's 8. But before we do that, just for anybody who doesn't know the story, they haven't seen Incompatible with Life, can you just really quickly remind anybody who's listening, what happened? You found out you were pregnant with number 3.
Yes, which was a surprise in itself, believe it or not. And then it was like, once we got over that surprise, then I went to a routine doctor's appointment, and the doctor said, hey, we did some blood work and we have reason to believe that you're going to have a child with Down syndrome. And I freaked out. Like, I did not know what that meant. I didn't have a lot of interaction with people with Down syndrome. And the nurse or the doctor quickly said, I'm sorry. I hate that I have to tell you this. And it was just a very negative experience. And then I kind of threw out there like, well, what am I supposed to do? And then she quickly went to the options of terminating the pregnancy and even making strides to help me because I was so far along and she wasn't sure if the Illinois state laws would allow it. And she was looking at other states. And that was just the route that my head went. And I just feel like there's all these other options she could have given me. She could have given me contact information to other parents that had a child with Down syndrome. She could have given me examples of, children that are like doing amazing things. There's amazing organizations that support families with Down syndrome, and none of that was given. And so once I got over the shock and started to do my own research, I realized that having a child with Down syndrome was not the worst thing that could happen in my life, and that life with Cody was going to be different but amazing. And that has come true over and over again over these past 8 years, and we love being Cody's parents.
Can you, just looking back, can you remember the defining moment when you went from, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out, maybe I should go get an abortion in Colorado, to no, I'm gonna have this baby? What was the deciding moment for you? Yeah.
So we only had in our heads about terminating the pregnancy for a few hours. We didn't even get the original blood work that you can do at the very beginning of your pregnancy that everybody seems to do now, because we said it wouldn't matter. But then when you get that diagnosis, you definitely start to freak out and you're in shock. It's traumatic. And so you start thinking in ways that maybe you wouldn't have thought of. So once we got over the shock and the trauma, we rushed to a counselor to just kind of help us sift through things. We quickly remembered that we have a living child in my uterus, like he has a heartbeat, and he has he's a living baby, and then we quickly remembered. But then it was a long process to get over the shock of having a child with Down syndrome and accepting it. And I remember the moment vividly when that happened. We were sitting around about a month away from when Cody was going to be born, and we were in a small group, and we were, talking about prayer requests and giving updates of our life. And my husband said to the group, well, we're a month away. And then he started crying and everybody started crying. And I'm looking around the room and everybody's crying and I'm about to have a baby. And I thought, this is not right. Like, this child is not going to come into a bunch of sad people just grieving about him being born. And it was in that moment that I said, you know what? This is my son. I'm going to be brave for him and I'm going to commit to advocate for him. And I am going to learn how to be the best mom I can for him. And I've never looked back. And then having Cody arrive and who he is it's just made it easy. Doesn't mean there haven't been challenges. Literally every day there are challenges, but he is an incredible soul with a spirit like no other. I truly believe people with Down syndrome were created in the way that God meant humans to be. There's just an amazing spirit that people with Down syndrome have that I wish more people could have.
So when you look at your son today, Cody, you can see strengths instead of looking at like weaknesses or disability. Like, you don't see disability, you see strengths.
Strengths, 100%.
And what are Cody's strengths?
And I think that's what's so crazy is like, he's got strengths that you don't see in everybody. So it even makes them more special. And then when he does, illuminate some kind of success or some kind of strength, it means even more because I thought he wasn't going to have these strengths. Like, I thought, he was going to be this just blob of a person because otherwise, why would you want to terminate somebody that had all these strengths? And so when those things come through, I mean, it just pulls on my heart every time. And it hasn't gotten old. Like, for 8 straight years, I just see this. So Cody is an entertainer. So he loves being on a stage. He has turned into this MC type stage leader. And he sees these people at church on the stage and he has replicated their skills with the microphone. And so we bought him a microphone and a mic stand and a stage, and he every morning comes and says, "Good morning, it's April 24th and it's a Wednesday and I'm here to tell you that today is going to be a great day." And it's just very cute. So we've taken that strength and he's actually sang the national anthem to 200 people at 8 years old in front of a whole group of people. He sings, worships with the worship teams at church. He can read at his grade level.
That's amazing.
Which is amazing. And, and it doesn't make him more valuable, but it does just show that these kids have worth and that they can do things too. And you never know, what the different strengths and abilities are going to be, but clearly every person has strengths and abilities and has worth. And we just are so proud of who Cody is and what he loves to do. And we keep trying to find those things just like our other kids that he wants to do. And we make sure to get him involved in things. So this summer, we're hoping to get him in some theater shows. Now that he's 8, he's kind of hitting that age where they allow that. And so we're excited to see what happens. So theater, stage, music, that is what Cody loves. Not math. He does not like math.
I second that emotion. Okay, so going back to when you were pregnant with Cody and you didn't know anything about Down syndrome. So you're kind of facing this future that you don't know what it's going to look like. What did you think being a mom of a Down syndrome child would be when you were pregnant, and what's it like now?
That's a really good question, and I think about it all the time because if I'm being super vulnerable, like I thought I was going to have this dumb child. Like that's what I had, and I thought I was going to be embarrassed. And I thought I was going to have to just change who I was and that it was just going to make my life be completely different and everything that I ever did before would stop. Like I wouldn't be able to go on vacations and I wouldn't be able to take care of myself. And I just thought it was going to be very different. And it's so far from that. And I will say that we have made it a priority to make sure that our life is the same with Cody in it, and that we give him the experiences that we would give our other kids, and we don't limit him, and we don't hide him, and we make sure that he's challenged. When we go out to eat, we make him order his food. We make him tell the waitress what he wants. And when we go on vacation, and we have high expectations of how he behaves and what he does. And I think that's helped a lot. And I think that in the past, people hid people with Down syndrome, and they wouldn't let them live normal lives. And we are really focused on that. And so I think because of that, and just because of the amazing person he is, it's not that. He is smart. He is funny. He has a great personality. He loves being around people. People love being around him. He swims in a pool. He climbs the playground. He, does all the things that other kids do. Now, looks different, and he needs help with things, and sometimes he can't participate in things because of his disability, but we just give him the opportunity to at least try and to be a part of it. So it's just totally different than what I thought. I thought that I was going to be embarrassed and that I was going to be hiding him. And actually, it's quite the opposite. I'm very proud of him.
Knowing Cody, I don't think you could hide him if you tried.
No. And anybody that knows him would agree. Yes.
What about your other kids? So you have the two kids. You already had your girl. You had your boy. Yes. What did you think it would be like for them to have a younger brother with a disability, and how has it been for them?
Yeah, again, so I thought they were going to be embarrassed. I thought that Cody would take all our time away and wouldn't allow us to do the things we wanted to do with them. And again, it's just so far from that. We still do all the things with our older kids, and Cody tags along. And they are not embarrassed him. They're actually very proud of him because he is such a special person, and the way he interacts with people and the way he loves people and hugs them and celebrates them, they think that's cool. My kids fight over who gets to spend time with Cody. They fight over who gets to give him that first hug in the morning, because hugs from people with Down syndrome are the absolute amazing. I don't know if it's because of their low muscle tone and they're just squishy, and that is gives a good hug. But there's just he has this care for people that is it's not like how typical people are. He genuinely cares. If he sees a stranger crying, he will go up to them and say, "I'm sorry that you're sad," and give them a hug. And that my older kids feel that. Now, is it always perfect and roses and unicorns? And no, not. They, sometimes they get frustrated because sometimes we can't do things because of Cody, or sometimes Cody does things in public that might be a little bit embarrassing. But overall, they love having him as a brother. Love, love, love it. And they wouldn't change anything. They wouldn't change having a brother with Down syndrome, and they wouldn't change that they wouldn't take advantage of any opportunity of taking Down syndrome away from him if that was an option.
Cody's in a regular school.
Yes, he is in general education.
How is he doing in school?
Yes. So this whole process with his education journey has been very interesting. He reads at grade level, and he is verbal. And so because of those things and just his ability to be independent, I really felt like having him in the general education program would fit for him. It is not for everybody. And obviously there's different various scenarios that would allow a student to be in a different type of classroom. But for Cody, I really felt passionate that I needed to advocate for him to be in the general education program. And so when he was transitioning from preschool to kindergarten, I fought very hard, even with some pushback, that I wanted him in the general education. I watched the students that were not in the general education program, and I felt like they were an afterthought. Yes, they pushed into music and PE and art class, but it was like they waited in the hallway for the class to come and then they could join them. It's like, why couldn't he just be a part of it and go there? And why did he have to go to this separate classroom to put his backpack and learn some things? Why couldn't he just learn in the classroom? And I was right. Like that is how it should be. And the school has done an amazing job of figuring out the right setting for him to be in the classroom with the help that he needs. So he has an aide, and he is in a class that also has a special education teacher for other students in the class as well. And it's generally going well. He's did kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and he's entering third grade next year in the general ed program. Now, where the conflict kind of happens is the academic piece. Like Cody is not going to be academically where these other current second graders are. And I have to help the teachers realize that that's okay. And that him being in that setting with his peers is so much more meaningful than even the academics. He is getting to be with people that he sees in the neighborhood, that he sees on the bus, that he sees at local restaurants, and they say hi to him and they want to sit by him and they give him high fives and hugs. And that wouldn't happen if he was contained in a classroom just with students that had disabilities. And that is so much more meaningful to me than whether or not he can do all the math that they're doing or that he can comprehend all the reading that they're doing. But it's hard in the education setting to accept that. And so we're working through that. And I have a lot of great advocates within the school district that are helping that process. But it's challenging because if you're not getting the results or the test scores that are expected, it feels like it shouldn't work, but it's so much more than that.
Right. I completely understand. Yeah.
I get those test scores and it's, you'd think it would be like debilitating, you'd be like, but I laugh. Like, I know Cody's not going to he's not going to excel at school. He never is, but it's so much more than that. And I just want him to be given a chance to be with his peers and for his peers to be with him. Because some of those kids are going to become adults that are going to get a diagnosis of a Down syndrome child. And because of their experience with Cody, they're going to know it's not scary. And they're not going to want to run away from the experience because of what they experienced with Cody. And that's very important to me.
That's an excellent point, actually, because you don't see a lot of kids with Down syndrome because most of them don't make it out of the womb. 67% are aborted. In this country,
that's crazy.
67%.
I just can't even believe it.
Yeah.
But I can because that's what the message is that they're not worthy of being alive.
What's even more amazing is that there isn't even the excuse that they're incompatible with life or that they have a fetal abnormality. There's nothing fatal about Down syndrome at all.
No. And it's, we sit around and think about all the things Cody can do when he's an adult. The options there's so many that we just get excited as much as his future as our typical kids.
That actually anticipates my next question, which is what do you envision for Cody's future?
I'm telling you, it's so funny because we've allowed him to grow and experience things. We laugh at how many options we have. So we talk about him working at a car wash or at Culver's or doing a YouTube channel or
I can see that.
Yeah, or one of the things is this funny, and I don't know if this is typical of Down syndrome, but he's obsessed with calendars. And he tells me when I come down in the morning and he tells me what I have to do the day because he looked at my calendar the day before and he's like, Mom, today you have this meeting at this time and this meeting at this time. And I was like, he could be an office admin someday, so there's just so much that he could do. And I think everybody has value and worth, and we just, you just have to find where they fit in. And you don't have to be crazy successful as a person with Down syndrome. I think sometimes those individuals that are excelling above and beyond your, typical person with Down syndrome get highlighted. But every person with Down syndrome has so much value and can find their place in this world if given the chance. And that's where we've come with Cody is we just want to give him the chance. We want to give the opportunity. I'm not asking people to be Cody's best friend. I'm just asking you to give, him a chance. Or, I'm not, asking that he is the prom king, but can he be on the ballot? Like, can he be included, So just things like that. Like, I don't want it to be things handed to him, but I do want him to be given the chance to have those opportunities. And I think as a society, we do need to get more open and accepting of employing people with Down syndrome and other disabilities. And, I think we're making progress, but we've got a ways to go. So.
Yeah, because of your own job, you have a lot of time to think about that.
Yeah.
So let's do some advice. First of all, let's start there. What advice do you have for employers who may be, how can they include people with disability in their various occupations?
First thing is think about it. So my husband is a chiropractor, and obviously he has a son with Down syndrome, and he's also been around a lot of people with Down syndrome because of our just affiliating with this circle of people. And so he owns his own business. And so the other day I said, hey, do you think you could hire somebody with Down syndrome in your office? And I could tell that his quick answer was going to be no. And then he thought about it, and he's like, well, I guess some of the people in my office, their job is to check people in and then walk them back to their room and then hook them up to the stim and let me know that they're in the room. And I said, you realize like there's adults that could do that? He's like, yeah, they could. And he never thought of it that way. His first reaction was just no. And so I just think us changing our mindset that not to just say no just because that's the way it's always been, and that, being a little more open.
Well, there might be also expectations on the employer's part, like they're going to think a person with Down syndrome, they don't learn as fast, they don't move as fast. So how much more do I have to do as an employer to teach them the job? But that doesn't sound too hard.
It's a simple job. It's repetitive. Like people with Down syndrome, some with autism, I'm not super familiar with every type of disability, but people with intellectual disabilities, you'll find the repetitiveness is what they excel in. I mean, we joke about Cody being our little Rain Man because, referring back to that movie from the 80s, that just like he loves his schedule, he loves things that are set, and that's something like a job like that he could do. And he's friendly, crazy friendly, because people with Down syndrome have hearts of gold. And why would you not want that person interacting with their patients?
You're the face of the office. Yeah.
So it was interesting to watch my husband, who should be one of them that says quickly yes, to have to go through that process in his mind, So I direct a chamber of commerce, so I interact with hundreds of businesses, and I would say in general, businesses don't have that open mind. A lot of the big companies are doing well with that because they have the support systems and the resources to kind of make that happen. Plus, there's a PR element to it. But I'd like to see more small businesses and smaller businesses.
I can imagine. I can see you doing like a workshop called Imagine Inclusion for all your guys.
Yeah. Well, we've actually already done one within our chamber. We brought in a group that has a program that kind of explained how they can connect people with disabilities to employers. So we've worked with that. But and I have some kind of long-term ideas that I gotta keep processing, but I do want to help that next level. So I feel like we've got education figured out fairly well, not 100%, but many have come before me to get our education systems. Colleges now have programs for people with disabilities that those are going really well, and I feel like our next steps as a society is employment and making sure that there's competitive pay and that there's opportunities for people with disabilities. So,
okay, going back to advice, let's move backwards now to doctors. The doctor who gave you your diagnosis was very quick to, and how far along were you? How many weeks?
21, 22 weeks.
Which is
so way
kids
too
are
far.
kids are born at 22 weeks and live. So that she wanted to just send you to Colorado or wherever to take care of the problem.
Yeah. I never felt pressured by her, but it just felt like that was the obvious option in her mind. And she jumped on my fear. And that's what I would say to doctors is like, of course that diagnosis is going to be hard to hear. Of course there's going to be fear and sadness and shock. But don't jump on that fear, because that's what I look back, I'm like, okay, she was just responding to me. But, give out the options and I just wish she would have said, hey, just so you know, pretty much every parent that has a child with Down syndrome is happy. And studies have shown that 99% of people with Down syndrome are happy with their life. And there's Gigi's Playhouse, and there's Up for Downs, and there's all these resources for you. I just wish that would have, like, there would have been the positive message too. And fine, say you can do this, or you can look into this, or maybe look into this first before you do this. Just people with Down syndrome. I mean, their abortion, nobody should be terminated, but I'm speaking on behalf of people with Down syndrome. No way.
What do you say? Okay, so the mom, you think about those other moms now, they're going to get this diagnosis. What message of hope do you have for them?
Well, my first thing is just to say it's not what you think it's going to be. It's not what you think it's going to be. And the way you know that is that if you do talk to parents with children with Down syndrome, they all are like, it's amazing. The phrase was coined by Heather Avis, the lucky few. Like, you truly do feel lucky. You feel like, wow, how did I get this gift? And again, that doesn't mean it's challenging. And there are many times I've said like, oh, I don't know if I can do this anymore, just because there are, the challenging parts of it. But it's the positives outweigh the negatives. The highs are so high. And it's an amazing experience to parent a child with Down syndrome.
Can you give me an example of one like something that's challenging?
Yes.
What's challenging?
Well, so one of the things that I did not know about was how long you stay in different phases with a child with Down syndrome. And that has probably been the biggest challenging thing. But it also there's some positives to it. So you end up in that baby phase is long. And so like you that baby phase where it's kind of a little bit easier to care for the child is long. But then you get to the toddler phase, and the toddler phase is hard. And you get stuck there for a long time. And there's many moments I was like, are we ever going to get out of this phase? And so that is one of the biggest challenges is just like getting stuck somewhere. When are they going to finally walk? When are they finally going to get potty trained? When is this behavior going to stop? That kind of thing.
I really thank you for coming back and talking to me and sharing me the update on Cody. I think it's great that Cody and other people with Down syndrome can show us all the innate dignity of the human person in a way that makes us think about it. Because normally we just go through life, person dignified, whatever. But when you're confronted with someone who's different, it helps you to really sharpen that. And so I really thank you, and I thank God for Cody's life. Yeah. And so
I get teared up all the time when I think back that like I didn't want him. And now I just can't even imagine my life without him. So it's still 8.5 years later, and I still get choked up about it that like I didn't want him, and he's amazing. And I'm so glad I have him.
I'm glad you made the choice to choose life and have him around and have him share him with his amazing wonderfulness with the whole world, which anyone can see if they are on Facebook. Yes. They can go to Growing with Cody. Yep. It's a great Facebook page.
Facebook and Instagram. Yep. So I just want to tell the other side of the story. And, we post a lot of the good things on there, but it's more just to inspire people that don't have don't know much about Down syndrome, and then they can see what the other side of the story is, not the negative, not the scary one. And then most important is when families get that diagnosis. I have had many friends refer them there so that they could see that life with a child with Down syndrome is rewarding and normal and not as scary as they might seem.
Great. You are the resource that you wished you had.
Yes.
8.5 years ago.
But I had some women that came alongside me. So like we just all keep helping each other. So
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for being on the show.
You're welcome.
Thank you for tuning in to the Shout My Story podcast. You can listen to future episodes anywhere you get your podcasts, or you can watch us on our YouTube channel, Shout My Story. If you have a story to shout, please contact us at info@shoutmystory.org. Choose love, choose life.